And welcome everybody to the GrowCast Show episode 2. On GrowCast Show, the whole idea behind it is to help business owners grow their business using their personal stories. And the mission of the GrowCast Show is to serve those who serve others. On today's episode 2 of GrowCast Show, I have with me Frederick from the Chiron Foundation, and he's somebody who's going to bring you into a different realm, into a different world altogether. And let me introduce none other than my friend Frederick from the Chiron Foundation. Frederick, how are you doing today?
Fantastic.
Very nice, Frederick. So I always like to start off with this one question because, the GrowCast Show is proudly collaborated together, with the Grow Success Club and Better Than Normal, right? So I always want to start off with every guest with this question, Frederick. What does being better than normal mean to you?
Well, normalcy is a very subjective thing to me. It is something which I feel being better than normal means being better than mediocrity. So if you're talking about being normal, you're being mediocre, which everybody can do. What people cannot do is to be something extraordinary. And so being better than normal to me is being someone of extraordinary nature, someone who is out of the norm, who challenges the status quo, and someone who strives to achieve greatness in whatever he or she does.
I love that. And I'm learning so much from, even though me and Hitesh, we are the founders of Better Than Normal, I'm learning so much from the answers that everybody has been giving me on what does being better than normal mean to them. So maybe the next question is, Frederick, for you, what makes you better than normal?
Well, I see myself as someone who is talented and gifted in the area of divination. And that's the reason why I became an astrologer. And having that gift gives me a sense of purpose to want to help other people at the same time. That makes me better than normal in a sense. I'm striving to not just get the knowledge or obtain the knowledge in divination, in astrology, for example, but to use whatever tools that I have to bring value to the community. Yeah.
Very nice. And also, I know, Frederick, that you recently, together with many members of the Grow Success Club, you recently co-authored a book. Tell us more about what did you write about in the book, because I know it's a very unique chapter. Am I correct?
Yes, it is. So this is the book that I'm talking about. Some of you can see here. It's something of a very nice nature. Very nice cover here. Okay, so in the book, if you go to chapter 5, you can see a very nice series of what we call comic strip. So I have it done and, drawn or illustrated. My illustrator is none other than Kasim. Okay, so go look for him if you want really good comic done. So all credits to him for the drawing. So in this chapter, I have detailed some of the process of how I do astrology reading for people, for clients, especially people who are looking at setting up their businesses. They need the right time, the right strategy based on what they see on the birth chart. And so I use the timing in my readings to sort of forecast and give the answers into helping clients realize the right timing and the most auspicious, most suitable time for their business.
Sounds very interesting. And I would like to find out more. In fact, I would like to go right to the very start. I would like to go to your origin. How did you become a business astrologer? Because I know you're not an ordinary astrologer. I know you're a business astrologer. So how did you become a business astrologer? Tell us a bit more about your origin story.
Well, it doesn't come by chance. I started out being curious in the area of divination. That was like way 10 years ago. And with 10 years ago, what I did was I bought myself a pack of tarot cards. And I experimented with tarot and I started off with tarot. I didn't start off with astrology. And what made me interested in astrology was certain setbacks. It was due to a certain setback in my life and even in career as well. So I was actually seeking answers for my own growth, for my own personal development. So I've searched gurus from different places around the world, and I found astrology to be working for me in a sense that it helps me realize my true potential, and it helped me find what I am meant to do in this lifetime. And that opened my eyes and gave me that insight into who I truly am, my true self, and what I am good at. and I found my hidden talents through my birth charts, and I've seen my future already. All right. So if you were to ask, have I seen my potential future? Yes, I have, and I know what my future roughly look like.
So two questions following up with that as well. So first one is, maybe we go one by one. The first one is, do you mind sharing a little bit more about the setback that you were referring to that led you to this journey to becoming a business astrologer? I know you mentioned a bit about the setback, but what was the specific incident or what was the specific situation in your life that led you to where you are right now?
I guess that setback has got to do with two things. One is career. Which is in the time when I was almost, I was finding myself in the midst of a crisis, a career crisis. And another one is about relationship. So it was a relationship which I placed a lot of priority on, and I put a lot of my commitments and my time, my effort and all that. And yeah, I'll go to that later. That's for the purpose part. So those two setbacks got me thinking on what life really means to me and what my true purpose is like in this earth that I'm living in. So I had a lot of questions, and through the astrology, through my chart reading I did for myself, I did my research and everything, and I came to realize that I got my answers from there. Yeah, that's where I got all my answers. And so that motivated me to delve more into astrology. And I started off with natal astrology. Yeah, I started off with natal astrology, which is what I mean is looking into birth charts, just strictly looking into a person's birth chart and finding out the person's personality through the birth chart. Subsequently, I explored the business aspect of astrology, which is how I can look at the charts of businesses like Google, Twitter, and Instagram, for example. They have their birth charts, and I look at the birth charts and how these companies will progress from there, just by looking at their birth timing and their birth dates. Yeah.
And when you say birth charts of companies, so what you're saying is not only do humans have birth charts, but companies have birth charts as well.
Yes.
Tell me a bit more. What is the difference between a human's birth chart and a company's birth chart, or is it the same?
They are similar. When you're talking about natal astrology, we're talking about a human's birth chart. Now, a human's birth chart has planets, the same thing as business birth charts. Business birth charts have planets too. But the planets represents different things in business astrology as compared to, personal or rather natal astrology. So the business astrology, the sun represents the CEO of the company. It's the leader of the company, like the father figure of the entire organization. The moon represents the people. All right, the employees, the staff, the products, women especially. So that is what the moon represents, something like that. So it's really different as compared to the natal astrology, where the moon represents your feeling and emotions, how you regulate your emotions. The sun represents your core identity, your ego, and your self-confidence.
I like that. I mean, I can see the resemblance as well. And it's interesting that you mentioned just now also that being an astrologer, I'm sure people ask you about this all the time, but you alluded to it as well. You said that you already know what your potential future is going to be like. So maybe let's get the elephant out of the room. So Frederick, what does your potential future look like?
I would say that my potential future has challenges. I wouldn't say that it's going to be that bright as what I think it should be or it could be, although I am pretty optimistic that it would be bright. But I like to think that my future has a lot of challenges where, like anybody else, we all have challenges, and that's where we should be putting our effort into, becoming a better self, investing our time onto improving ourselves and to, overcoming the odds, overcoming our setbacks as they come along.
I understand. I mean, challenges are part and parcel of life as well. Yeah. And I think maybe one of the reasons why a lot of time people don't want to see astrologers is when they find out that some bad news is going to happen, then they don't want to know. They want to, ignore it. So what would you say to somebody like that who has that fear that if they go to an astrologer, then they will find out some bad news? What would you say to somebody who's thinking like that?
I would say that astrology is a tool, is a very awesome tool to help you, find the answers, especially potential future. We predict potential future. We don't predict the future. That's the two different things. So when we look at the potential future of how our lives will turn out to be, it gives us guidance, it gives us the direction and tell us something about where we are heading in this lifetime. So in this lifetime, when you know the answers, what are you going to do with your life? The rest is really up to you. Because I'm a believer of not just free will, but I believe that in certain things in life, we have what we call fate and destiny. Now, fate is something which we can't change. Fate is something that's going to be with us for the rest of our lives. Whereas the free will comes along, and that's where it sort of challenges you. And it makes you want to do something about yourself, about your life, so that you can improve on it, no matter what the fate says about you. But we all face the same fate, which is death. We all face the same fate, which is having setbacks in life. So that is what our fate are meant to be. That's what we are meant to be. Fated to have setbacks in life, fated to die, right? But in that process, what are you going to do with your life when you know your birth chart? That's the main question. So even if you don't know what your life is going to turn out to be, it's okay, because living in ignorance, some to them is blissful. I mean, ignorance is bliss to some, but I would like to think that ignorance may not be as blissful as you may think, because sometimes if you don't know anything or don't know what is going to happen, you don't know your life purpose, then you're going to live your life aimlessly. You will not have directions in your life, and you're going to go through hard knocks before you find the answers. So my question is, why go through all the hard knocks where you can actually look at your birth chart, gain insights from there and find out who you really are. And from there, move and take action and strive to become a better person.
What is the difference between fate and destiny?
Interesting question. Well, destiny is something, I would like to see destiny as something that you are striving towards. Destiny is something which is subjective. It to a person, to person A, destiny can be one thing. To person B, destiny can be another. It depends on how one makes of it. It's like a personal, subjective reality.
Mm-hmm.
Fate is generically something that is predetermined. It's something that you can't run away from. It's something that is always there all along, and even way before time. So fate is already written. So people say you can change fate. Good luck to you. You can't. The only way is to face your fate. And in facing your fate, you have that free will to change and to improve your life. So that's where you are using free will to overcome your problems. And I think that is all that we can do when we are talking about fate. Face your fate, but have a good destiny.
I like that. I think that should be a new hashtag, face your fate. Hashtag face your fate.
I thought it's like make astrology cool again.
Both of them, and you can run with both of them. And I know that Frederick, for yourself, you specialize in business astrology, right? So tell us a bit more. Why did you become a business astrologer? Why not any other kind of astrologer?
Well, I would like to say astrology is a very generic field. It's a very broad field. So having a specialization in business astrology helps to distinguish myself from the rest. Well, business astrology is something to do with financial astrology, also vocational astrology. They're so similar. It's very difficult to distinguish between them because we touch on the same topics too. So going into career astrology, I like to see myself helping business owners and even self-employed people, because these are the people who I feel they are looking for answers in their lives as well, not just doing the things that they do, because sometimes they are very hard up in hustling, especially the hustlers. They are so focused in hustling. And my question to them is, why are you hustling so hard? What is your purpose of doing so? Because I noticed that there are a lot of people, a lot of hustlers who do a lot of hustling. Hustling has been a trend, right? But what is with all the hustle, right? At the end goal, what is your end goal? What is your outcome that you are looking for? So after you achieve what you have achieved or what you've called to achieve, what comes next? Because I noticed that there are some agents who get stuck in a vicious cycle. They have achieved the top 1 percentile of their organization, for example, and they have achieved what they want to achieve. But it goes around and around and around like a circle. because they're trapped in what we call preserving the status. So if you don't have the award at the end of a particular term and you fail to achieve your targets in your sales, right? For example, what are you going to do next? It can be rather pressurizing and embarrassing to the person, right? So why are you doing so hard for this? Why are you striving so hard? There must be something at the end, right? So this thing got me thinking and got me want to go into this area and help people find their true purpose, their true self and life purpose.
What makes business astrology different from feng shui?
Interesting question. Feng shui is actually Chinese metaphysics. The astrology that I am dealing with is Western astrology. It has its roots in the Chaldean tradition and even Hellenistic tradition. So mine is pure traditional astrology. Chinese astrology, on the other hand, I can't speak for it, but feng shui is dealing with earthly luck. Okay, 八字, some people ask me 八字, right? So 八字 and feng shui, they are also different. Okay, 八字deals with heavenly luck and even luck with humans. So this is what we call the 4 pillars of destiny, if I'm correct. 4 pillars of destiny and 8 characters, 八字. Heavenly, human, luck. Feng shui deals with the earthly luck, means the things that you do around your environment will affect your destiny or will affect your fate. Or not your fate, but your what do you call your well-being. Whereas for astrology, we look at the personal birth chart. We look at how one can strive to become better through just looking at their potentials and strengths as well as weaknesses in just one thing, which is the birth chart. That's all there is. It's that simple.
I like simple stuff. So, and that's why for the question which I have for you, and I'm sure many people have this question as well, is who is business astrology suitable for?
Well, I guess business astrology is suitable for a few groups of people. The first one is people who are looking for their life purpose and want to find out who their true self is. They want to know their true personality. They are lost for direction. The second group of people are people who wants to set up their business, want to start businesses. They do not know whether it's the best date to start a business, whether it's an auspicious date, or whether it's a date that will bring them fortune in their businesses. So that is the second group. The third group of people are people who are simply well off. They have time on their hands, but they are struggling with also partnerships, relationships issues, because in business, we're also talking not just about romantic partnerships or even family-wise. We're not just talking about that. We're talking about business partnership as well. So business partnership is also maybe an issue. Another thing is about collaboration. That's another thing. So another thing is about relationship, and another thing is health, right? So health is another factor which I also look at, although I don't all the time. So in business astrology, it's not just looking at the business or the career of it, but we are also looking at the person holistically. Yeah.
Can a religious person come for a business astrology reading with you, or will there be any contradiction?
Wow. Okay. I personally don't really touch on religion a lot because it's a touchy topic, but I would like to see religion and astrology as 2 separate entities. Okay, religion gives you moral sensing. It gives you a moral compass. It gives you a sense of direction too. Whereas for astrology, it's a tool. It's a tool used for forecasting. It's a tool that's used for personal development. And for some people, it's spiritual guidance. But I don't use so much into that. I don't look so much into that for astrology. So astrology is basically a tool for me to help somebody becoming a better version of themselves. Whereas for religion, it's a totally different manner. Okay, so it really depends, because I won't deny that in in certain religion, or certain belief system that actually contradict astrology beliefs, right? But that's it. It's really up to the individual to find ways to, or make the decision to navigate the differences. I think that is the most important thing.
Very nicely said as well. And how often does a business person need to consult you for business astrology?
How often? from the first time that I have a program which is a 1-year program. I'm bringing it down to 6 months. So this 6 months program, we are going to do it like once a week. So once a week or maybe once in 2 weeks. I mean, based on preferences, I would think we have a program of like having it once a fortnight. It will give enough time for the person to think, to reflect, and to do the homework before the next meetup. So this entire 6 months process, the client would have to do some revision, some homework, derives from the coaching itself. I mean, it's not just looking at birth chart interpretation, but other than an interpretation, there is a coaching aspect to it. And this coaching aspect is where we talk about strategies. We talk about business strategies. We talk about how you can become a better person, beef up your confidence, to do sales, to do marketing, for example, using frameworks and templates that I could supply during that whole entire process. This is actually a very customized package that I'm offering. So being a customized package, it really depends on the client's needs. Yeah. So from there, this is how we move.
Nice. So is 6 months a good enough period for somebody? What happens after the 6 months? So what does somebody who comes to you for a 6-month business astrology coaching program, right? What can he expect after 6 months?
Well, after 6 months, the client should be able to know themselves much, much better. They would be able to harness their strengths in order to do something that they want to do. It may not be business. It may just be something in their life that they have always wanted to do, but they did not want to do. So I had a client who wanted to improve on her business, but at the end of the day, I think, she decided, to go to a different path, right? So it not necessarily means a business owner is called to be a business owner all their life. So at the end of the 6 months, it really depends on the client. So some client would feel the enlightenment, feel enlightened to suddenly want to pursue something different. So yeah, and it's a really liberating thing when you get to realize that you wanted to do something all along, but you didn't get to do it because you had a different idea about who you are. So I think astrology gives you that sense of purpose and to find yourself again. Yeah.
Do you feel that everybody will be one step closer to enlightenment when they come to you?
Well, if they seek the truth, yes.
Tell me more.
Well, I would say that a person is motivated. A person who is motivated will gain the most out of the sessions. Because you see, in any coaching, per se, if the client is able to put in the hours to work on themselves, and not just during the session, but after the session, there's homework that I give, and the homeworks are vigorous. So one of the homeworks that I give my client is that you want to start a business team, right? Okay, list down 50 reasons, okay, that your business will fail, right? If you can do that, then we'll go to the next step, right? So these are the homework that I give them. It's the framework to help them think about what they want to do in their life. And this helps them to recalibrate again. Yeah. And so I think it really depends on the motivation, number one, and also how badly they want with, becoming a better version of themselves. It's easier said than done.
And what is the ideal mindset of someone when they come for a consultation with you?
Have an open mind. I think that's the most important thing. If you have an open mind, you are open to possibilities, because astrology is about possibilities. It's always about the potential future, what your future can potentially be, rather than coming in with a fixed mindset. I would recommend that a person come in with a growth mindset, with a mindset full of possibilities, so that we can explore a lot of options. Midway through the session, things can just pop up, ideas can just flow. So it helps when a person is opened rather than closed up.
If someone who is an employee but unsure whether they should start a business, would a session with you be helpful to help them to decide?
Well, I think if that's the case, right, I would just recommend one session, because one session is sufficient enough for a person to know what they're called to do just by looking at a birth chart. And I can do that in just one session. I don't need 6 months or 1 year, right? So it's possible. But I guess what I'm looking at is people not just knowing what they're called to do, but I'm looking for people who wants to know what they're called to do and how they can approach the calling or the life purpose. I think that's more meaningful rather than just knowing your birth chart, knowing what you are called to do and then what's next. Right. So that's the thing that I'm looking at. I'm not looking at just employees looking for career switch or suitability. It's not just that. I'm looking more than that.
And I know you also have a National Day promo going on right now, right? For that one session with you to find out about your true purpose, your true calling. So tell us a bit more also about your National Day $58 promo, which is worth $488 initially. Am I correct?
Yes, it's the usual price is $488. Yeah, and it's only for the month of August. It started off with 9th of August, but I decided to lengthen it to the whole month of August due to popular demand. So, $58. That's a heavy deal there. Yeah. So $58 for the price of $488 in value that I'm giving. So this particular reading is just 1 hour. And in that 1 hour, I will be helping you find your strength and weakness through your birth charts to understand your true personality, what you are, who you are, what you're called to do. And also, is there any chance of success?
And is this $58 National Day promo, is it open to everybody or is it only for business owners?
I'm opening it to only Grow members and also people who are self-employed and business owners. Yeah. Yeah. Employees not allowed. No, I mean, really, for employees, I don't think this is suitable for them. I would think people who are employers, who are hiring, who are having businesses, who are self-employed, this is more suitable for them.
Sure. So what happens in this 1 hour? I mean, if somebody is willing to invest the $58 and they want to learn more about themselves and they want to invest this $58 to learn from you, tell us a bit more. What can they expect at the end of the 1 hour?
Okay, at the end of the hour itself, they will gain who their true self is, their true life purpose from the birth chart, the strengths and their weaknesses, what they're good at doing, what they're bad at doing, their preferences, their life preferences, what they prefer to do, their likes and dislikes, their career choices, what are the various career choices that they do, how they spend their money, how they save their money, whether they are good investors or bad investors, whether they are able to, sustain an investment or whether they'll lose a lot in the investment. Yeah, that one. And then whether they have inheritance or not, and how well can they do in property, in the area of property or in the area of insurance or investment. That too, they will also know. So there are tons of other information as well, not just all these. These are just non-exhaustive lists. I can name a lot because astrology birth charts, there are like thousands and thousands of information on the chart that whatever question you ask, it can answer.
And when somebody comes to you for this offer that you have, can they come to you with a predetermined set of questions or is it a blank canvas?
Well, I would ask them what they really want from the beginning. So from the beginning, they will already have told me what they're looking for, the answers they're looking for. So just 1 or 2 questions will do. And then from there, we will build up the momentum to see if there's any other further questions, during the sessions. Yeah.
And how long are you going to be doing this special National Day promo for?
It's for the month of August, the whole entire month of August only. Yeah, next year, I don't know.
Very nice. And also, so moving on as well, I've got a very important question to ask you because when it comes to opening businesses as well, right? So who better to ask than a business astrologer? How important is timing when it comes to starting a business?
Very, very important. You can start a business at a bad timing where geopolitically, things are not going very well for you and your business will suffer. Locally, you may start at a bad timing and your business will also suffer because locally there is politics involved as well. So political involvement, the mood and atmosphere of the people in general will actually affect your business. So timing is important. Whereas for birth chart, where we look at astrological timing, that is also another thing. So for business birth charts, we go into the details of the specific timings that they can actually go to when selecting the right date for their business. So that becomes the gold mine. That becomes the focus of what business owners should be looking out for, because these are the dates, the potential dates that they can actually, set up their business and expect, decent, smooth, smooth things to go for them. At least their business runs smoothly and, no cock-ups, no hiccups, nothing, right? So at a certain timing, which is a good timing, it will help business owners to be liberated from the fear or the worry of being in lack.
Makes perfect sense. And which is more important to you, Frederick? Which is more important to you, the business idea or the business leader?
Wow. I would say the business leader, because it all starts with the self. It all starts with the person. The astrology of the person is what makes ideas. You can have many business ideas. You can talk to the cow comes home and have so many ideas on the table, but it takes one extraordinary business leader to make that idea a reality. And I think that's what's the most important.
And you mentioned earlier as well about speaking to insurance agents and real estate agents and people who are self-employed generally. So maybe let me ask you something very directly. Why should an insurance agent, right, come to you before starting their insurance journey?
Before starting the insurance journey. If you're looking at an agent, for example, who has no idea whether they want to pursue this, then yes, I will be able to give the answers as to whether this is a suitable profession for them. But for those people who already are pursuing insurance or financial advisory, for example, and they come to me and they want to know and confirm if this is the right job for them, feel free to do so as well. Because there is no better timing or there's no suitable timing to look for an astrologer just to find the answers. Because I think what's most important is that at the end of the day, you are getting the answers that you are seeking. You are getting the answers that you need.
Why should real estate agents come to you before starting their realtor journey?
Wow. Okay. For real estates coming to me wanting to know whether this is the right profession for them, definitely, I think this experience will help them understand or rather gain deeper insights into whether property is the right profession for them. They may not have the indicators on the birth chart for property related stuff, but they could be good at working from home or doing something home related. So it really depends on the person itself. So during the session, they'll discover more about, I may not be good at property, but other than being a property agent, what else can I do? That is property related. They can be a property investor, right? So they will gain that kind of enlightened understanding about what they are called to do through the readings. And of course, for some realtors, right, who are pursuing real estates, I think their main concern is what are clients thinking? What are clients really thinking? And why am I getting or attracting a certain group of clients? So they need to know themselves so that from knowing themselves, they'll know why they're attracting these group of people.
Is astrology suitable for children?
I would think that astrology is more suitable for an individual above the age of 13 because that's the formative years. And that's the year where they already started to see things, see the world as they are, and experience things that they have yet to experience. So there's a whole world and a whole destiny in front of them. And I think that's the best age, or rather one of the better age to start rather than, below 13, which is like 12 and below, because they are in their growing years. You do not want to burden them with the thought about what their future may be looking like. However, for parents, they may also want to explore, because once the kid is born at a certain timing, they want to know how their birth chart looks like, so that, parents, you can keep it a secret, right? You don't have to tell your kids. But as they grow up, you see, you'll see as they grow up how they progress, how your kids progress. And then you realize they probably have a certain strength that's gearing towards a certain area or field that they're pursuing. So as parents, that's where it gives you that kind of, the sense of direction to bring up your kid in that certain area. So instead of dumping them with extracurricular activities, right, and you just do not know where they'll end up, right, you can look at the birth chart and then see what are the areas that they are most suitable for and just groom your kids accordingly.
I like that answer. I like that answer. And tell us more about your new book. I know you've got a new book which is titled Find Your True Self and Purpose, a layman's guide to understanding astrology. So tell us a bit more about your new book, Find Your True Self and Purpose, a layman's guide to understanding astrology.
Well, it's a very simple book that I wrote. It's a book that aims to educate and inform the layman about what astrology really is. I try to keep it really simple, such that even any Tom, Dick, and Harry can be able to pick it up and get to know, oh, this is astrology. This is what it do. This is what it does, and they get to know how they can, or where they can find their birth charts through one of the chapters. And of course, I explain some of the concepts, some of the terminologies in a very simple, concise manner. And by going through the instructions in the book, they can find the birth charts and get to know their true personality through that whole entire exercise in that book, just by following the instructions. So at the end of the day, if they want to find out more, they can come and look for me.
Nice. And I'm just going to go through a few of the chapters that are inside there as well. And I want to go straight to it. So we're going to do it in a way where in 30 seconds, I'm going to start every sentence, right? In 30 seconds. So in 30 seconds, give us an introduction to astrology.
Well, astrology is the study of a correlationship between events on Earth and celestial cosmic movements of the planets.
In 30 seconds, tell us more about the zodiac signs.
Well, zodiac signs explains the traits and characteristics of who you really represent. But of course, it's not about that. It's about the constellations in the sky.
In 30 seconds, tell us more about elements and modalities.
Well, elements, we have 4. We have the fire, earth, water, and air. And modalities are practically modes of behavior, or modes of inclination towards certain things, doing certain things. And of course, the 4 elements that I've just mentioned, they represent your nature as well. Yeah. Fire being enthusiastic, water being emotional.
What about the other 2?
Well, earth is about being pragmatic. Air is about being intelligent, intellectual. Yeah.
In 30 seconds, tell us more about the planets.
Well, the planets are what we call wonders of the universe. There are 10 planets in total in astrology, including the sun and the moon, although I feel the sun and the moon are both luminaries, and there are 7 other planets that are in astrology. So they represent your true nature. They each represent your self, part of yourself. So there are 10 planets in astrology. It means that you have 10 selves that you're dealing with. Do you want me to go through the selves?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
In 30 seconds, tell us more about the 10 selves.
The 10 selves are 10 planets in the universe in astrology. So the sun is your core personality, which is your core self. It explains your ego, your identity, how you see yourself. The moon represents your emotional self, how you manage and regulate your emotions. Mercury represents your intellectual self, your thinking self, is how you communicate, is what makes you witty. Venus is your affectionate self, and affectionate self is how you love and the style that you love and what are the things that you love to do or take pleasure in. Mars is the planet of aggression, so it's your aggressive self, your assertive self. How much Mars you have in your birth chart determines your anger level, on your temperamental, your drive as well to succeed. Jupiter is your, what we call the wise self. The wise self is where you seek to expand your knowledge, to expand whatever you have. Saturn is what we call the restrained self. It's a self that is self-controlled, pretty much well-disciplined, but it's also mature at the same time. Sometimes can be too serious for one good, because Saturn is a planet of limitations. Okay, so there's 3 more. 3 more are what we call the modern planets, which I don't usually touch on. Uranus is your, what we call the eccentric self, is what you like to do differently from other people, uniquely. Neptune is what we call your dreamy self. Your dreamy self is basically someone who does creative things and how creative you are as well. Pluto is a transformative self. It's a self where it seeks to transform and to go through metamorphosis to become another person, to become a better you. how powerful your Pluto is, how much your Pluto is, will also depends on, how well you want to go through setbacks in order to come back from the abyss. Yeah. So these are the 10 selves that I'm talking about, and these are the 10 planets that I've just mentioned. All can be found on your birth charts, all can be looked at based on how well you do in life.
And from the 10 planets that you just talked about, which is the most important one?
I would say all of them. But I would say that it really depends on the strength of the planets. For ancient astrologers like myself, we look at the strength of each planet. So it really depends on the placement of the planets. I would say that some astrologers would like to think that all planets are the same, but they are not. Different planets have different qualities and different conditions. So we will look at that individually for different people. So people with a very, very good planet placement, they tend to do better in certain areas. Those with debilitated placement, they tend to do not so well in certain areas. So this is how we actually advise our clients through the experience. So that has got to do with something very, very subjective already.
In 30 seconds, tell us a bit more about the houses in astrology.
Well, there are 12 houses in astrology. Houses represents the areas of life that you are going to experience. Of course, I'm not going to go through all the 12 houses, but in general, we will look at the 4 very, very important houses. The first house, which is the house of yourself, your self-appearance, how you're viewed by other people. The 4th house is your private life, is your family life and your home environment. The 7th house is your marriage partner, your spouse, and even for business partner, one-to-one relationships. The 10th house is your career, your life calling. So these 4 important houses are what we will look at first in astrology. So the rest of the houses also represents the areas in your life that you will have contact with. And just think of the houses as the stage, right? The planets as the actor, and the zodiac signs as the acting style of the planets. So the actors and all that. Yeah.
In 30 seconds, tell us a bit more about the aspects and transits.
Aspects are the interaction between planets on the birth charts. Is how one planet communicate to another planet. Okay, simply put. Because I can't go simpler than that. It's like when we look at the aspects of different planets, it will give off different outcome for the individual. So a good aspects, or rather I would say a positive aspect, easy aspect, what we call easy aspect. So aspects, they represent how the planets communicate with each other. And planets with easy aspects, okay, they tend to do really well, but they can also, at their worst, they can overdo things, right? And planets with bad aspects, okay, or rather, I wouldn't say bad aspects. Planets with hard aspects tend to exhibit challenges for the person, and it may be bad, but hard aspect is necessary for the person to grow, to mature. And having easy and hard aspects are 2 different things, but they also have their double-edged sword. It really depends on how I see the birth chart of a particular person. If a person has more hard aspect, doesn't mean that he's going through suffering, right? It may be due to the fact that he has a lot of things to overcome, a lot of issues in life to get over. Whereas people with a lot of easy aspects, which I've seen before, doesn't mean that he's going to enjoy life. It just means that he may be lazy. A lot of things is just given to him just like that, but he's not putting in effort in his life. So it really depends on the individual at the end of the day.
In 30 seconds, tell us more about natal charts.
Well, natal chart is equivalent to birth charts. It's just a circle, and if you go to astro.com, you can be able to see your own natal chart. If you were to get my book, you will have the instructions on how to draw your own natal chart and to find where your planets are located. Just follow the instructions, and from there you'll find your true self. So get my book.
Tell us a bit more about where somebody can get this copy of the new book that you just launched.
Well, I will be putting the book on my website, chironfoundation.com, and also they can contact me directly and I will just share with them the book. Yeah.
Okay. And we are wrapping up nearly about the end, but I've got some very, very important questions to ask you as well. So let's talk a little bit about that. So how does someone find their true purpose through astrology?
How does someone find their true purpose through astrology? Well, I would just say they look at the birth chart. Just by looking at the birth chart, there are tons and tons of information that one can be able to get out of their own birth chart. And of course, interpreting it is another matter. So you'll get astrologers like me to interpret the birth chart for them and to help them find their true purpose from there. But of course, in my regular sessions, which is like 2 hours long sometimes, so that first hour is all about interpreting the charts. Second hour is about the coaching element. So together, that's why it's 488. That's why together, this gives the person the answer that one is looking for. Yeah.
Why is finding your true purpose important to live a happy life?
Very well asked. This is a very good question. I think having a true purpose is very important in life because can you imagine living a life for another person, right? If you are not living a true purpose, if you're living your life for another person, if you prioritize somebody else over you, right? This can be said in relationships as well. And if you are in a relationship, right, some of you may be very caring to your partner, you may be super committed, like what I used to do. And then you realize the person disappoints you or betray you at the end of the day, and you're crushed, right? So where is your true purpose in that extent? You're not living your life for yourself, you're living your life for the other person. The same thing here, if you have your own true purpose, you find what you're looking for, you're doing what you love, and you're pursuing what you actually like to do, and you're just investing your time in that, in yourself, most importantly, it's liberating. And so that gives you that happiness, that innate happiness that you can never find elsewhere. So I've learned a hard lesson in my life that, I'm not putting priority onto someone else that I love. I mean, although it may be someone I love, but I'm not putting priority over, myself. So that is a life lesson that I had to learn, the hard way.
Is it possible for someone to have more than one true purpose, or is it only possible to have only one purpose in life?
I would think that it's better to have one purpose in life. You can have many purposes, but at the end of the day, you're going to ask yourself the same question again. What is my true purpose? Because you can have a lot of purpose and you have split attention span, right? At the end of the day, split attention span is not going to do very well as compared to having a total 100% focus on a particular thing that you are going for. And that becomes your true purpose, your path and purpose. Nobody can tell you what is your true life path or your true purpose in life. Other than looking at your birth chart, looking at the direction you're going to, at the same time, figuring things out by yourself once you know the direction, because the rest is really up to you.
What is a common myth or common misconception that people have about astrology?
That it's woo-woo, that is supernatural stuff, that is something that is very spiritual and it's about fortune telling. And that is what I'm trying to get at, that astrology is not fortune telling. It's not about predicting the future. It's about predicting the potential future. And heck, I hate to use the word predict. I love to use the word forecast instead, because it's about forecasting potential possibilities for your life. And think of it as a weatherman, right? Think of it as a weatherman who is trying to tell you what the weather is going to look like tomorrow, whether it will be rain or tornadoes or any earthquake or anything like that. So it's something like that. And what makes it inaccurate is when there is human intervention that makes things inaccurate in a sense. For the weather, it's the same thing. So I would say that a reading itself is at least 90% to 95% accurate. That's for me.
And 95% accuracy is more than enough. And I think we have more than covered everything that we want to cover. Is there anything that I should have asked Frederick that I did not ask you?
I think that's all. I think this is amazing. Great experience. Thank you very much.
And also, Frederick, one last important question. So if anybody wants to reach out to you, can you tell us a bit more about your WhatsApp number? Can you share a bit more about your website? Can you share a bit more on your socials as well? So tell us a bit more. Maybe this one you can look into the camera directly and tell us, where can somebody find you? Where can somebody reach out to you?
Okay, they can actually reach out to me at my website, chironfoundation.com. And also my Instagram is also Chiron Foundation. You can go into my TikTok. TikTok would be over here as indicated. Right.
And thank you so much, Frederick. And that was episode 2 of the GrowCast Show. And I'll be back with more guests who are better than normal. I'll be back with more episodes, and I'm looking forward to help business owners grow their business using their personal stories. And also remember, the mission of GrowCast Show is to serve those that serve others. GrowCast Show is a special video podcast only for Grow Success Club members. And if you want to know more about the GrowCast Show, reach out to me, WhatsApp me. My details are inside over here as well. My Instagram page is there. My WhatsApp number is there. Personal message me, DM me on Instagram, and I will tell you how you can be a guest on the GrowCast Show as well. And that is a wrap.